In 1807, the British thought they owned West Africa. One king proved them wrong. He also detected what the rules were going to be. They believed their stone walls made them untouchable on the Gold Coast. They were wrong. This is the story of Osei Bonsu, the man they called the whale, because he consumed everything in his path. He didn't just build the most powerful empire in West Africa. He forced European powers to come to his table, follow his rules, and pay his price. Britain didn't just fear his soldiers, they feared how smart he was. And by the end of this video, you will understand why they were right. Osei Bonsu had one obsession: the ocean. Whoever controlled the coast controlled the gold trade. And the British knew this, which is exactly why they had already planted themselves there, building relationships with the Fante people who lived on that coast. The Fante were the middlemen. British money flowed through them. British protection was promised to them. And that arrangement worked perfectly until Osei Bonsu decided he was done letting anyone stand between him and the sea. The trigger was a legal dispute. Two chiefs from the Asante people who lived under Ashanti rule were caught robbing a secret grave and stealing gold from an Ashanti official. Rather than face justice, they ran south into Fante territory. The Fante sheltered them, partly because they resented the Ashantis, but also because they believed Britain would back them up if things got violent. This was their first mistake. Bonsu didn't attack immediately. He sent diplomatic envoys multiple times, asking the Fante to hand over the fugitives. The British watched this happen and said nothing. The Fante, feeling protected, refused. Then, they murdered Bonsu's final group of envoys. This was their second mistake. Bonsu mobilized his army and marched south. The British suddenly realized they had 25 soldiers on that entire coast. 25. Against the most organized army in West Africa. When Bonsu finally stood at the edge of the ocean for the first time, he gave himself a new name, Bonsu, meaning whale, because now he was the master of the coast, and Britain was about to find out exactly what that meant. As the Ashanti army swept through the Fante territory, thousands of refugees fled toward the British fort at Cape Coast Castle. Among them were the two Asante chiefs Bonsu had been hunting, Chief Aputai and Kwado Otibu. They found the British governor, Colonel George Torren, and begged for protection. Torren made them a promise that he would shelter them even if it meant fighting the Ashanti army to do so. This was a promise he had no ability to keep. He had 25 soldiers. The fort itself, originally built by the Swedes in 1652, had 12 cannons behind thick stone walls, but no running water and no real plan for a sudden, sustained siege. His most important asset was his Fante alliance, and that alliance had just watched their people being cut down on every road leading to Cape Coast. When Bonsu's army arrived, Torren panicked. He sent a flag of truce before a single shot had been fired. His own Fante allies blocked it from getting through. And then the battle began. The Ashanti used their signature formation, the horns of the buffalo. Two wings curved around the fort from both sides, while the main force drove straight at front. It was coordinated, disciplined, and relentless. The British had never faced African military strategy at this scale. For 6 hours, the Ashanti attacked. The cannons tore through their defense formations at close range. Some British defenders fired their muskets so many times their barrels burned through their hands. When the Ashanti finally withdrew at sunset, the beach was covered in bodies. Bonsu later claimed his losses ran into the thousands. Out of 25 British soldiers, 2 were killed and 17 injured. The stone walls and cannon fire did most of the work, not British military strength. 8,000 Fanti soldiers and civilians who had sheltered those 2 chiefs paid with their lives for a promised Touraine was unable to keep. So when the Ashanti pulled back after 6 hours, Touraine did what any man in his possession would do. He immediately sent peace envoys to Bonsu's camp. And what followed was not a negotiation. It was a surrender dressed in diplomatic language. Bonsu didn't sit across from Touraine's envoys and discuss terms. He presented terms, and Touraine, with 2 soldiers dead, 17 injured, 8,000 allies killed, and the Ashanti army still camped outside his walls, agreed to every single one of Bonsu's demands. Britain would pay land rent to Ashanti for occupying the coast, a European colonial power paying rent to an African king for land the British had spent decades acting like they already owned. Britain would formally recognize Ashanti authority over the coastal territory, meaning every relationship they had built with the Fanti, every promise of protection, every arrangement that kept British trade flowing now sat underneath Bonsu's authority and approval. And both chiefs, Apotai and Kwado Otibu, Touraine had sworn to protect against Bonsu's army, were handed over directly into Bonsu's hands. Every demand Bonsu had made before a single shot was fired was signed off by Touraine. All of it.